The carts head off then onto the formation laps. It is the final of the x30 senior category here at Castelletto circuit near Castelletto, near the town of Pavia. We're about 1 hour from Milan. We're in northern Italy. It's very hot, it's very sunny. The circuit is very sticky and it's been giving the teams a few headaches. Certain teams in particular struggling a little bit to get the chassis working in these hot conditions. There is the grid on screen then. From the pre-final result, Brett Ward has won all the heats. He got pole position. He won the pre-final, but Berke Besler has been breathing down his neck all weekend long. Berke, though, is on the outside of row one, and the best he's managed at the first corner so far from this grid position, which he has held all weekend long, has been third. Most of the time, he slipped to either fourth or fifth. Hugo Ellis is in a good, strong position on the inside of row two in the number 214 kart. Sam Marsh is going to be starting fourth. Paul Lucier and David Bowman on used tyres fill the third row of the grid. Ollie Varney has been one of the quickest starters here this weekend. Let's see what he can do. He's saved new tyres for this one. He starts seventh. Christopher Shani drove well through the order to get into the top 8 on the grid. On row 5 then, Saul Robinson and Guillaume Barbaran. On row 6, Carlos Leon and Alessandro De Corri. On row 7, Manu Bejarano. Watch out for Efstratios Galopoulos, the Greek driver who's been up in the mix most of the weekend but had a bad pre-final. He could come through in the 222 kart. The penultimate row of the grid then we got Guillaume Peugeot and also Escotan, and the final row of the grid, Stephen Letts and Ishan Pieris. That is the way they shape up. It will be a 20-lap race. And the pack now just starting to bunch together. A very, very long race this. Yesterday, the heats were 11 laps long, so it's almost double the length of the races. And have the teams spent time in the build-up to this working out what to do with the setup of the karts for these longer races. We'll find out. Brett Ward, there he is, number 217, about to lead them round, ready for the start of the race. Berke Besler will just be hoping he can stay somewhere in the top 3, maybe 4th place. That might be good enough at the first corner. Then we know he can come back. He's got the speed, and he'll have more laps to come back at Brett Ward. But here we go. The race is about to start. The red lights go out, and we are racing here in Italy. Brett Ward, great start. Berke Besler, decent start, but he's on the outside. So Hugo Ellis comes up the inside of him, straight into second place, and another really good start as well from Ollie Varney. Looks like he's gaining places. Sam Marsh has made a good start. There's some contact in the middle of the pack. Down the order certainly has gone Berke Besler. He's going to come into 4th place. Got a couple of cars. Guillaume Peugeot is one of them, number 218, that was slow, but he's got going again. There are 3, I think, involved in that incident at the back of the field, but it is Brett Ward that leads the race. A very good start from Sam Marsh to get himself into 2nd position. Hugo Ellis I thought was going to be 2nd, but wound up in 3rd place. And Berke Besler, just off camera, I think he's in 4th place. Yes, he is, 4th place. So it's not too bad. It's where he was at the start of the pre-final. And he was still able to get through to 2nd and catch Brett Ward up. He's got 5 more laps to do it in this race. So not such a bad start for Berke Besler, all things considered. Through their line they go at the end of the first lap. Paul Lucier has made a good start as well. He holds on to 5th place. David Bowman has done a good job to stay in 6th place from the outside of the front row. Christopher Shani in 7th place. And then it's Saul Robinson in 8th position at the end of the first lap.
That start for Berke Besler was much, much better. The best of the weekend so far, but he couldn't find a gap to get into 2nd position, so he's had to settle for 4th place, which is still okay. He's still got a chance to make his way through within this race and catch up with the top 3 and start to make up a few positions as well. As there goes a change for the lead. Down the inside line goes Sam Marsh, and with him will take his teammate as well, Hugo Ellis in kart 214. So look at that, very nicely done from Sam Marsh. He knew there was a gap, he went for it, and straight away on the early stages of this race, you have to go for it, because when your tyres are this fresh, you need to make the best of them. So through they come now. Sam Marsh is the leader of the race in this senior one. 2nd place is his teammate, which is Hugo Ellis. 3rd place now, the man who's done all the winning so far this weekend is Brett Ward. And in 4th place, also looking quite racy at the minute to try and work his way through, is Berke Besler in kart 223. Those 4 have pulled away massively from everyone else. The next man in the train is going to be 5th place, which is David Beaumont, a man who has gone for the used tyres. Another change for the lead down at turn 6. It's teammate over teammate this time. Hugo Ellis goes through. He gets now to the front of the field, and let's see what these 4 are going to do, because this is a great battle out front. It's Ellis now ahead of Sam Marsh, but how long for? Because again, Marsh attacks down the inside line. He leaves the door open, and straight through goes Brett Ward, our pole man. So again, it's changing every single corner. Now Berke Besler's turn to come through, and he jumps up into 3rd place.
Turned out to be not such a good first lap for Oliver Varney for once. By the end of the first lap, he dropped down to the middle of the pack. He's currently running in 13th position. The other drivers that got caught up in that first lap incident were Ian Barbara, number 220, and Carlos Leon, number 219, towards the back of the field. Castelletto just gained the race up to 14th position. But here are our lead quartet, Sam Marsh. He's just been watching from a distance all weekend long. They've been working hard to get that car to their liking. Now it is when it really matters most. He can dominate the whole weekend. It's dominating this race and finishing first. That's the only thing people will remember. It's the only thing that gets you the trophy, the points. It's the only thing that gets you the prizes. It's the only thing that people will see in the history. But Sam Marsh, he's there when he needs to be. But second place now for Berke Besler. It's taking long to dispatch Brett Ward. Fourth position is Hugo Ellis, who's just about a length or so behind the top three, but still in the mix, especially as they start fighting each other. This is by far away the earliest that Berke Besler has been able to get back up to second place. It's the longest race as well, and he's already second along. He's into the lead of the race. Besler goes through, hits the front, into the first position. Sam Marsh second. Brett Ward is still in the mix though, isn't he, in third place. Keep an eye on him as he's got a long distance pace as well. Could that be a factor? Fourth position, Hugo Ellis. Sean Robinson, he's up to fifth. He's ahead of David Bowman as well, who's dropped down a position to 7th place. Berke Besler under attack here into the hairpin. Sam Marsh has pulled off some very good overtakes in this race so far. That was another one. He's back into the lead of the race. See what, he's been a British champion, can't you? Second place, Berke Besler. Third position then, Brett Ward, and all over the back of him at the moment is Hugo Ellis, trying to wide a line, trying to come back on the accelerator as they go towards the left-hander at turn 11. No passing here, really, so sit tight. Bit of bumping over the curbs then, and all out of shape is Berke Besler. This could compromise him into the first corner. They're weaving, they're blocking, they're dicing, but there's no change just yet. Brett Ward tried everything, but he also had to be mindful of Hugo Ellis right behind him. What this has done, Matt, is allowed the race leader just to break away. That's right, very, very quick to battle in these early stages, which is not good news for second, third and fourth, but very good news for Sam Marsh, who, as you said, has now started to pull away. So Sam Marsh looking very hunky-dory out front for the minute, but what's going to happen between these three, with all of this going on? Surely the man in 5th place is going to start catching up as well. Remember, he wasn't here on Friday for qualifying. He had to start at the back for all of the heats yesterday. He's worked his way through, and 5th place is the highest he's been all weekend long. Sol Riker Robinson could be another potential podium finisher within this final here today at the Sette Lage circuit. They turn through the final corner once more. They're about to start lap number 7 of this race, but what can they all do about Sam Marsh, who again has been closed in on? So Berke Besler, the best we've seen him run all weekend long now, he's starting to get into the groove. He's caught back up with Sam Marsh. He now only sits 0.2 of a second adrift, so they've finally worked themselves together, and again Sam Marsh has been closed in on, so watch out for a move here possibly from Berke Besler. They turn their way onto the back straight once more. Then you've still got Brett Ward in 3rd place and 4th place for Hugo Ellis as well. And Brett Ward said to me off camera after that pre-final, they made a few changes to the car for the pre-final. They weren't happy with them, so now surely they've gone back to the original setting which they had on the car through Saturday. But as of yet, not really working, is it? He's still down there in 3rd place and yet to catch the top 2. Track changes every time you go out there, doesn't it? Look at Berke Besler down the inside. He thought about it. You could see exactly what he was lining up, and he made it stick. Sam Marsh giving him room, and another change of lead. Besler hits the front once more. Marsh and Besler have done all the leading really so far, apart from the first lap or two where Brett Ward had his nose in front. Brett is still in the mix. He's still only about half a kart length behind them. So too is Hugo Ellis in 4th position, and then only 0.6 behind them, number 213. Sean Robinson, who had to come from the back of the grid in all the heats yesterday after missing qualifying to fly back home and do some exams, which I hope he passes after all of that and gets a good result. But he might just be on for a good result here. As Matt said, the way it's going, we're going to have 5 for the lead of the race soon. So Berke Besler has come mighty close to being a European victor in recent months, and he hasn't had the rub of the green. He's had some bad luck. This is as close as he's been. He's not got this far before. Now Brett Ward, don't count him out. Back to 2nd place, back ahead of Sam Marsh, staying cool, calm and collected. And the next shot, look at all the rubber off the racing line. That's the tyres being degraded. Look at that in the front of the picture. Off the racing line, the marbles are everywhere through that last corner. We've got 8 laps complete then. We're approaching half distance. Brett Ward is back up to 2nd place. And these next few laps are going to be critical. If Berke Besler can break away from Brett Ward, then it's going to be looking good for the second half of the race. But Brett Look has already shot away from Sam Marsh, who's getting close to being overtaken here by Hugo Ellis, who's right with him as they get down the back straight.
It was quick there through turn 6, but not quick enough, because Hugo Ellis now goes for a move down the inside of his teammates. So back into third goes Hugo Ellis, and he now says to Sam Marsh, by the looks of it, let's work together. We need to keep with the top two, who already have started to pull away once more. We're not quite a half race distance, so plenty of laps still to go within this senior final. And of course, these are racers through and through. They'll fight for every single position they can, because points at the end of the day means prizes. So here they come once more through across the line. It's Berke Besler who leads by just around about half a second that time through. Brett Ward still sits in second place. And then the two teammates, Hugo Ellis and Sam Marsh. There's been contact though, surely, because we've lost someone at turn 1, and Sam Marsh has slowed as well, down through turns 3 and 4. So we missed that off camera, but the two in third and fourth places are now out of this race. What a disaster. It does mean they're up into third place. Is going to go, he is still there by the looks of it, Hugo Ellis, but something has happened to Sam Marsh, and there was yellow flags at turn 1, which now have been withdrawn, but not too sure what happened. What a disaster though for Sam Marsh. After running in the lead of the race, he's now a retirement from this senior final.
Yeah, Sam Marsh and Hugo Ellis were together, weren't they? And well, Hugo carried on, Sam did not, and down in 15th place and looking pretty slow, I'm afraid. So to fourth place comes Sean Robinson, who was just behind all of that, but not so close that he was involved in it, and he's already got himself onto the tail of Hugo Ellis. Look, third and fourth now nose to tail. Is a podium on the cards here for Sean Robinson. He's driving really well, and just low in the seat here. The gap between the top two is half a second on that lap. Berke Besler, the leader of the race, was just about half a tenth of a second quicker than Brett Ward. So just edging away by a couple of centimetres. But we're only halfway into the race. 10 laps done, 10 laps still to go, including the one we're on. Berke Besler leads. In second place, Brett Ward. Third position, Hugo Ellis. Fourth position, Sean Riker Robinson. And in fifth position then in the 229 kart, Alessandro De Corri, who I haven't mentioned yet. He's come from the sixth row of the grid, the Italian. David Bowman in sixth position still, looking pretty good. And also Escatan, the French driver, has come from near the back of the grid to be in seventh place, just ahead of Manu Bejarano, who looked quick on Friday, didn't do too much in the way of results yesterday, but there's another one that's come from the back of the grid, and he's up to 8th place, just ahead of Ollie Varney. And then you got Stephen Letts from dead last on the grid, up into 10th spot. So that's the top 10. As we go to the second half of the race, the gap between the top two grows again, only by half a tenth of a second, but Berke Besler has just put in the fastest lap of the race as Carlos Leon gets a warning flag for driving standards.
Yes, this race is changing shape every single lap by the looks of it. What's going to be the next piece of action on track? Well, at the minute, that gap out front, as Chris just said, has increased because Berke Besler has set that quickest lap of the race. It's all looking good now in the final. As we said through Saturday, it doesn't really matter what happens there. As long as you get some good, solid results, Sunday is completely a different day, and that's proven the case today because Berke Besler out front and looking to extend the gap once more as he heads through the final corner, across the line once more. It now goes to near enough a second, a much better lap once more from Berke Besler. No quickest lap that time through, but he was quicker than Brett Ward, who still sits there in second position. The fight between third and fourth has also dispersed slightly as well between Hugo Ellis and Sol Riker Robinson. Those two now separated by half a second. This is the next fight to watch out for, though. This is between 6th, 7th and 8th places. You've got the likes of 2 to 8 in there, who has done fairly well from 8th row of the grid. That's also Escatin, up now into 6th position. David Bowman on those used tyres sits in 7th place, and on the tail of both of those is 216, working his way through as well. The Spaniard, Manu Bejarano Campos, and then also just in there as well is Ollie Varney. Haven't really spoken about Ollie too much. He qualified after the pre-final down in 7th, and in fact he's dropped down to 9th place now. So Ollie Varney, not the best of finals, but again he can make up more positions as the laps tear on. We've now just got 7 to go as the leaders work their way through. 1, 2, 3, 4 in shot, and then goes the fight for 5th place.
Yeah, Ollie Varney in all of the heats was one going forwards in the first few laps of the race. It looked like he actually started fairly well, but by the end of the first lap, he was down in 13th or 14th place. He has made some ground back up, and he is only 2/10 of a second behind Bejarano, who in turn is only 2/10 behind Bowman, who in turn is only 1/10 of a second behind Escartan. So top 6 could still be on the cards. He's got to work hard to do it, but it's not entirely inconceivable that Ollie Varney could still get some more positions out of this race, and he is looking pretty quick at this stage of the race. He's in the 215 kart just at the back of that group, like with the yellow and green type helmet. So 3 drivers ahead of him, all within sight. Berke Besler is suddenly 1.3 seconds clear. 3 laps running, he was half a tenth quicker than Brett Ward. They have been inseparable all weekend long. And much of the weekend, all of the results yesterday really pivoted on which way it went in qualifying by 9,000ths of a second. Besler has had to be patient, and he always felt that whichever one got in front in the final, well, it'd be hard for the other one to catch up because they're so close. They have been the cream of the crop. They've definitely had the advantage, although, as you saw in the final, we had Sam Marsh giving them a real run for his money until he had that issue down at turn number 1. Hugo Ellis is still not that far away from Brett Ward, but 0.8 of a second. He in turn is 0.8 of a second clear of Sean Robinson, so they're not that close together at the moment. We've still got this battle going on here for 6th place, led by also Escartin, the French driver, who's gained 10 positions in this race. Olivani looking for a move and pulling one off. Through he goes. That's on Bejarano. That's 8th place now for Olivani, as we see the leader come through into turn 1. Brett Ward in 2nd place. New fastest lap for Berke Besler. He's starting to control the race. He's turning the screw map, and he's now 1.7 seconds clear.
Yeah, this is a much better performance from Berke Besler. Just shows now the gap is increasing lap after lap. And again, with another quickest lap, those tyres have been perfect pretty much from start to finish. It just depends now on who else has worn their tyres out, because this new rubber, as we saw in the junior final, doesn't last that long. So if some of those guys a little bit further back have kept them till the end, then it could see them working their way through as well. So watch out for the likes of Brett Ward to be caught by maybe Hugo Ellis, who's only 0.7 of a second back. And again, Sol Riker Robinson down there in 4th place is also starting to do his best to catch up as well. But there's only going to be 3 laps to go by the looks of it this time through. In fact, 4 laps to go as they come through, as we start lap number 17 here at the Settilage circuit. There is your leader, Berke Besler, out front now by 1.8 seconds. Again, he's improved on that previous lap to go quicker than Brett Ward, who in fact that time through was slower than Hugo Ellis, who went 0.2 of a second quicker. So the gap comes down now to around about 0.7. Is Hugo Ellis going to look for one more place before this race is done? I probably would say he is, but he needs to get there first to try and make that move.
He's going the right direction though, isn't it, for Hugo Ellis? There's 2nd, there's 3rd, as they make their way out of the hairpin at 7 through turn 8 into the right-hand hairpin at turn 9. Brett Ward working hard. He's been giving it 100% all weekend long, as he always does. He's not really done anything wrong this weekend. I'm sure frustrated to find himself in 2nd place. He was, of course, 3rd and maybe down in 4th briefly at one point in this race. But having led everything, well, it's going to be quite hard to take this, but certainly since he moved to the X30 category at the end of last year in the MLC Motorsport team, he's been driving very well. He's had some very good results domestically and internationally. This is still going to be a good result for him. They want to win, of course, but I think he always knew Berke Besler was always going to be a threat come Sunday. And Berke, like Brett Ward over the years, has had some bad luck, but Berke, a bit less experience, I suppose, internationally, and 3 seasons of international motorsport for him. A bit less experienced in these karts, Berke Besler, and driving them very, very well indeed. So, 2 seconds clear now. It's looking like it's going his way. He will not count it for granted, though. He knows what can happen in motorsport. He's just going to keep doing what he's doing. Through he goes out of the last corner. There is 2nd, there is 3rd. Has the gap come down on this lap? Through they go. Brett Ward, 51.494, 51.38 for Hugo Ellis. Yes, he's caught up. He was quicker than anybody else in the first sector, so he's got the fastest first sector time of the race. Hugo Ellis in the number 214 cart is almost on to the rear bumper now of Brett Ward. So 2 laps to go, including the one we're on. The gap is down to just 0.2 of a second in the fight for 2nd place.
It surely is once more then, so let's see what he can do. The man in 3rd place, Hugo Ellis. He'll be all over the back there of Brett Ward in kart 217, and they've just about now dropped Sol Riker Robinson, so he's not going to quite make it to the podium, but it looks like Hugo Ellis is just on the right attack at the minute. He's just keeping it all nice and tidy for now, but right towards the end, that's when the attack has got to come from Hugo Ellis. He was quietly confident on the grid there, as I spoke to him very briefly about what this race may hold, and it looks like it may be a podium, but which position on that podium as they go through to start what's going to be the final lap of this final for the seniors, down towards the first corner. As we know, there's probably only a couple of places you can overtake, one at the end of the back straight, one at turn 7, and maybe one through the hairpins as well towards the end of the lap. So watch out now for Hugo Ellis to start to set this up. What can he do down the back straight? Brett Ward looking every single time. Which way is he going to go? He first goes to the inside. Brett Ward defends very hard in towards turn number 6. He gets a good run. He gives a bump to the back of Brett Ward as he turns in towards the hairpin for the final time. Brett Ward now will have to go very defensive in every single corner. Hugo Ellis makes contact there in towards the right-hander, and again, it's just been slow briefly there there as they work their way down towards the left-hander. There's just going to be 3 corners to go. He can't still get through though. Hugo Ellis is trying every single trick in the book. Can he get it at the final 2 corners? Meantime, Berke Besler up towards the checkered flag. It comes right in the end for that man, for Bouvon Power. He takes the checkered flag by a massive margin in the seniors by 3.7 seconds. Berke Besler finally got the weekend right in the race that mattered the most. He comes through to take the victory. Second place, just about holding on there by the smallest of margins, was Brett Ward, the man who won all heats yesterday. He won the pre-final earlier today, but for the final it's going to be second place at best. He tried his hardest there, but unfortunately he just dropped down to second place. All the tweaks and adjustments that happened there weren't quite good enough for the final, but Brett Ward takes second. Hugo Ellis, once again, all the trying he did there on the final lap wasn't quite good enough to get past Brett Ward, but he'll be rewarded with a podium for the Vital Motorsport team. Then Fusion in 4th place. What a weekend for Sol Riker Robinson. He missed Friday. He worked his way from the back in all of Saturday's races, and today he ends up with a 4th place. 5th place goes to Alessandro Decore. 6th place on old tyres was David Beaumont. 7th place for the Brit Olivani, ahead of 2-8 there, which was the kart which came from, again, way down on the grid. 16th place for also Escatin. And then behind that we had Bejarano Campos, Stephen Letts in 10th place, and then we had a few others down in 11th, 12th, 13th and 14th places, but there was non-finishes for Sam Marsh, a non-finish for as well Phil Luzier, after being the man or the star man within the pre-final, and also non-finishes for Carlos Leon and also for Christopher Chenet as well. What a race that was. A great win for Berke Besler by 3.7 seconds over